But this is Infinite Tangents, and this is Raj. Raj.
Hello.
What do you want to talk about?
Why no? Okay, you've done the thing that we agreed off camera and off recording to not do, which is to just say, what do you want to talk about? Which is just the worst question you can ask.
You have met me enough times to know I will immediately betray you, though.
Now I know that anything I say will be used against me. It's like reading my rights.
I'm not that bad now. I mean, I'm not going to lawyer you. I'm just more wild trigger at worst.
I'm not going to put it past you that anything I say will be used against me in court.
I don't think we ever want any of these streams to end up in a courtroom.
Well, here it is, Exhibit A, and the jury's all watching.
I'm not sure if we're going to go down the road of copyright or we're going to go down the road of something Dave and I said.
Probably it'll be a combination of the two.
Yeah, I'm realizing, gets out of hand sometimes. Though the last one was lovely.
Yeah. I think what will happen is that you both end up embarrassing yourselves to such an extent where, I don't know, you get like Amazon on your back or something about something you've said that's also like copyright.
You think Amazon's going to come after Dave and I and not you and I for our rampant speculation about the secret plans of Jeff Bezos?
Okay, yeah. So that's the thing, right? What's Jeff Bezos up to?
I mean, like, he's literally building a spaceship. He has all the money in the world and just all these crazy schemes. But on top of that, like, I think there was a story about him having a personal hand in The Expanse being brought back from the dead whenever Netflix gave up on it. And it's...
Oh, so he funded it?
Yeah, well, Amazon picked it up, but apparently it was...
Oh, yeah.
it was... came from the top. So, you gotta wonder, given some of the content there, whether or not he's got his own schemes for solar system type domination. At least market domination,
Yeah. But just on that, do you think how much of the decisions behind like Amazon's movies or TV is based on his tastes rather than people lower down? Because can you imagine him saying, you know what, I was really a big fan of the Invincible comics from the creator of The Walking Dead. We should commission that for our TV service.
Are you telling me that his favorite comic is Stargirl?
I mean, it could be. We don't know. Maybe once you invite him on episode 1000, we can figge out what he actually likes.
I think that's a solid plan. Do you know what? I think there's actually more truth in that than you'd think, because you see when you're at a company where it's someone that's become big enough to be a celebrity, almost, that's pretty much what he is at this point. He's a business celebrity, and whatever his presumed tastes are, even if they're inaccurate, it's gonna affect decision making. And if people say, no, I would still go against my boss, that's still affecting decision making, because you're making choices to try and then break the mold.
And I think it's hard to create a company that's that large without having yourself essentially be surrounded by a bunch of yes people who aren't necessarily going to go against things that you say.
Yeah, I mean, if you're... He's God in this company.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, he's not like someone that sort of came in, was just a bit visionary about it. He ground away, fought people left, right and centre to make Amazon what it was by forcibly improving it and never turning a profit until it was good enough to, basically consume everything.
Yeah.
Which, has to give you a lot of clout.
I look forward to the day when literally everything is owned by either Disney or Amazon, and then they form the giga corporation, Disney Amazon, and then it becomes like a Tyrell Corporation sort of situation.
I foresee Amazon winning the war.
Oh, do you? Well, that's an interesting one. Why do you think that?
Amazon's got the biggest guns.
Ah, okay. That's a good point.
AWS. You know, you got AWS. I mean, that in itself's a great one. But here's the other one: Disney, Netflix. They screwed up badly on the video side of things. With simple fixable, they could fix both these things tomorrow. Disney's web player, for a start, doesn't respect play pause properly. Sometimes you have to click on the actual button, and the spacebar doesn't always work, depending on the behavior. Its behavior for clicking into shows is completely wrong. And then there's Netflix that decided you wanted a teeny little corner mode to be in the corner instead of full screen. You know, okay, these are only two really minor points, but X-ray is such an obvious advance. You want to know what the music is playing?
Plus the fact it has the IMDb integration as well. So anytime you are wondering who's on screen, you can just see straight away who's on screen.
But that's open integration. That's something you can do. Anybody can do. You know, it's not like only they're allowed to do it.
But why haven't the others done it?
I can see why Disney might avoid something like that, because when it comes to general trivia, can you imagine how much of their older things would suddenly become quite concerning and horrifying?
Oh, as they've been learning over the past few years.
Like, hey kids.
How everything of theirs that's old is now concerning.
Yeah, like this lovely vintage episode of Tom and Jerry, where they both end up trying to kill themselves, was made in a lovely sweatshop by slave labor. I don't know if that's actually true, but you know, I know animation was basically sweatshop labor back in the olden days. You know, it wasn't, and still is to some degree. I mean,
yeah,
that strikingly similar to game development in that respect.
I mean, just look at the development of the making of the live action Mulan movie. More things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah, it is very much like that, and I don't really foresee it getting better unless we make some huge jump in, I suppose, AI image interpretation. You know, unless you can figure out a way to automate the process of fine detail imagination. You know, even if it's not perfect, even if it's good enough for everybody but the guy in the front. So, suddenly you can detail characters that just exist throughout it and, have functional models. Unless you can start generating that stuff, it's gonna be hard forever.
And I guess it's like you want things to be easily automatable, but at the same time, I think 2D animation tends to have more of a style and more of an aesthetic to 3D animation. So I think most people would probably prefer that stuff anyway.
3D animations, stylistically, it still has a thing, but it's getting just dangerously close to CGI. You know, the two are the two are the same thing in a lot of cases, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but it's like the Lion King live action thing. It's like you take something which works in 2D because you can create animals that have sort of exaggerated facial expressions, but then you make it in such a case where it's a real lion saying stuff, or like it's a real warthog that's voiced by Seth Rogen, and it just looks weird because it's like a real animal, but then it's trying to, talk English. It looks strange.
Yeah, the Uncanny Valley's definitely... Do you know what's funny about the Uncanny Valley? Actually, is the fact that it's worse with animation for some reason. With 3D animation. Because, like, okay, you know, thinking thinking Star Trek here, the ropey sexy aliens, or like some of the effects you got even back John Carpenter stuff. You got two options there, which definitely would be worse problems with animation for some
Yeah.
reason. It hits the brain wrong, and it's something I couldn't quite put my finger on as to why.
It's just based on the connotations that we already have around animation in terms of where it's come from. Like, it was based in this sort of suspension of disbelief that you're watching a cartoon, but now you have this thing where, yes, it was made on a computer or something like that, but you find it very hard to suspend that disbelief. And like saying, like, you find it hard to believe that, like, oh, these aren't real lions talking to each other. It becomes harder to do that when it looks the way that it does versus how it used to look. So maybe that could be part of it.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. It's gotten close enough that there's a lot of examples of uncanny valley you wouldn't expect, like the lions, But yes, it will.
And the Uncanny Valley is kind of interesting just because we don't really have much in terms of empirical proof for it. But we are very like it feels like something that makes sense. Like, it makes intuitive sense. I think a lot of people can relate to it, even though we haven't been able to like show kind of systematically that it's a thing. As in terms of like,
it's a known thing and it's understood, like, but it's very hard to quantify what the issues with it are. Yeah.
yeah,
How do you quantify why does this look off? And there are people out there seriously researching that because, well, there's plenty of good reasons to figure that out.
yeah. I mean, you have like research that looks at the extent to which anthropomorphization affects the amount of trust that individuals will have with robots, for example. So if you put a human face on a robot, do people trust it more? Stuff like that. With something like Uncanny Valley, it's quite hard to provide sort of support for it, just because it is it's difficult to quantify, I think.
Yeah. Do you know what? Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner, they made great efforts for people to behave in a way like they were living in the uncanny. They tried to create an uncanny valley with a person. The replicants behaving replicanty.
Yeah.
I suppose it's one of those things that we're gonna see and figure out. But there was that other, what was that Haley Joel Osment film, the really bad one? The kid, he's a robot, but it's just like he's running about and he's just got like the kid's face, but the rest of the robot isn't finished or something.
Oh.
AI.
Oh, is it Steven Spielberg's AI?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay. Yeah.
It had lots of variations. Or sorry, no, it's not AI. That was the Will Smith one, wasn't it?
No, that's iRobot.
White Robot. Was Will Smith not in that?
Will Smith was in iRobot. I don't think it was in AI.
iRobot. Oh, I'm getting those. I'm getting them two completely conflated now.
All these robot movies. There's so many of them.
Yeah. It's really sad too, because I just want to buy a Roomba.
Yeah, hope that your Roomba doesn't, take over your place and just start vacuuming everything that you hold dear.
I'm giving it a knife. The second I get it, it's getting a knife.
Do what? What, just attached to the front?
I've seen it too many times on the internet. I want some intrigue and danger in my life, so I'm gonna have an armed Roomba that may stab me in the leg. I figure it's about the same as having a cat, but it'll clean instead of shit.
You know what though? It does remind me a little bit of like Robot Wars, for example. Did you watch Robot Wars?
Oh, I loved that when I was a kid.
Yeah, like I imagine like a Roomba, you could sort of put like googly eyes on it, or like some of the other stuff they did on Robot Wars.
Yeah.
Paint it yellow and really big cheese.
Yeah, you always find yourself rooting for like the ridiculous one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they were. They were. It was kind of sad because like you knew what was going to win, even if you didn't want it to win. You know what?
I mean, there were a few at the top that were like so good. Like you had like Razor at the top, Tornado at the top, pretty often.
Do you remember Spin Doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah, Spin Doctor dominated. Like that was the thing, you know. You know, that's like the ultimate tactic, really. I mean, it's a stupid and dangerous thing to do, which is why it's perfect to do in Robot Wars. Because, like, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near Spin Doctor in operation, because it's that thing, you've got to have rotating mass. They just hold so much energy, so, you know, just whack something with that and call it a day. Like, I mean, though the rampy one that's just flipped them all over, you know, like, whenever it first came, it was really funny because, you know, there were so much more dangerous and better robots, and it just goes and flips them all over.
Yeah.
But that's kind of been taken to its logical conclusion now. I mean, Robot War still is a thing, but it's really cheesy now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess since they got rid of, well, since they don't have Craig Charles as the host, now it's Daro. The most recent one was Daro O'Brien.
Yeah, but there is like the logical conclusion to it. It's between Japan and America. They're making themselves, I think they're 30-foot tall battle mechs, and they're gonna juke it out someday.
Yeah, I mean, it was more endearing, you know, back in the day when perhaps we weren't at a certain stage in terms of 3D printing and fabrication and electronics being sort of smaller and more efficient. Back then, it was a lot more sort of cobbled together, which I think had a bit more of a charm to it.
Yeah, I mean, every single one of them, like, and the motors are from an electric wheelchair. Like, an electric wheelchair was the unit of power on Robot Wars. All you got was electric wheelchair. And, I mean, it was kind of funny, but it made you think electric wheelchairs were these beasts. And, like, occasionally there'd be one with a mobility scooter, and you'd be like, oh, it's gonna be so fast. And it's like, it's pretty much the same thing, but you're like, you know, the scooter somehow was held in higher regard as it being like the performance version.
Yeah. It's like Razor has the power of 2 Stannis stair lifts. It's like they had to get the motor from somewhere.
Oh no. Sorry, you absolutely killed me with Stannis stairlift there. It was the TV ads back then. And watching Gremlins as a child too many times as well.